do I, a crippled, doomed Yakuza with a broom, and these mascots, that crying block of tofu that I've heard so much about, fit into this? I'll pore over the stats, I'll balance the books, I'll micromanage the menus. Maybe I'll revisit this game on the show at a later date. For now, that's...
Fukuoka is a prefecture of Japan on the island of Kyushu, the country's largest and most southern island. Its long northern coast overlooks the Sea of Japan, with geographical connections to two inland bodies of water, the Seto Inland and Ariake Seas. It is notable for a few other things. It is home to several successful, venerable institutions of business and industry. Bridgestone Tyres was founded here, and other companies that base their headquarters here include the Yasukawa Electric Corporation, which was founded in 1915 and make robots, the Moonstar Company, who, at least nowadays, make Converse-style pumps, and was founded in 1873, and from 1917, Toto Inc., who make toilets. It is home of one of the historically important Buddhist temples in the region, Jotenji. This was built by the monk Eni, who is regarded in regional folklore as being the man who introduced udon noodles to Japan from China. It is, currently, broadly representative of Japan's broadly aging population. Look at the age demographics presented as a pyramid graph, and it appears inverted, starting narrow before bulging out around the 45 to 60 mark, before thinning naturally, sadly, back out. It is famous for its association with the Yakuza. It has 5 designated groups associated with it, the most among all of Japan's prefectures. The prefectural anthem of Fukuoka is called Kibo ni Hikari. That translates to Light of Hope. It's been a year. Filmmaker, writer and artist David Lynch died on January 15th. At the time, it was tempting to cast that as Omen. Now, it's easy to reflect on it as a portent. David Lynch was an artist who made a lot of art that sought out humanity in the fringes, that sought out something empathetic in worlds made of human-shaped puzzle pieces. He might have been able to make something of the almost psychedelic mess that has been 2025. A year whose defining trait seems to have been a carousel of stories about the rise of a brand of intolerance, ignorance, performative rage and government-sanctioned hate crime that does not really resemble the future that I remember from the Jetsons. David Lynch might have been able to make sense of this. In his absence, it is, again tempting, dramatically speaking, to feel unmoored, unable to take the constructive view that he might have done. In Twin Peaks: The Return, the 18-part TV series from 2017 that drew the surrealist mystery horror saga to a close, he explored the enduring legacy of trauma and the deep generational scars it leaves. Despite the inscrutability of some of his work and the messy, unrefined feeling of a lot of it, I regard Lynch as an insightful filmmaker and observer of human nature. Twin Peaks: The Return is one instance where I hope he was wrong. I hope he didn't see all this coming. I hope that show, his last major work, wasn't a sign of things to come. The past 12 months haven't represented a dramatic, unexpected slide into horror. They have just been the latest rung on a ladder going down. How and why the world is currently the way it is something else. In terms of the how and why of the overwhelming sensory overload of it all, one person has come to mind all year. The documentarian Adam Curtis has been making films about the ways in which we are manipulated by systems, governments and media for decades. His most accessible documentaries are Odierism and its sequel, Odierism 2, released in 2009 and 2014 respectively. In these, Curtis examines how the rapid pace and diverse scope of events, announcements and action is a deliberate tactic of the ruling classes, designed to foster media coverage that is equally rapid, piecemeal and shallow. The cumulative effect of this is to make current affairs difficult to follow in any meaningful depth, to create an overwhelming deluge of information and misinformation about events of increasingly incomprehensible horror, to which the only response is, oh dear. It's impossible to grasp the full context or effect of anything. It's impossible to understand. We're not meant to. We're meant to feel bad, then look away. And we do. In the way he seeks to demystify in microscopic, forensic detail the forces that control us, Adam Curtis is the total opposite of David Lynch. They share a humanistic outlook in that they care about people, but they go about articulating that in very different ways. Their work all represents something that I can't, air quotes, unsee, and that has served to inform how I interpret world events and coverage of them. From Lynch, it's the understanding that everyone has a story, good or bad, and that empathy is an energy. From Curtis, it's the knowledge that we shouldn't look at just the picture, but at the frame as well. Neither makes it easier to rationalise or make peace with the rising wave of bad news. They just help. Those two filmmakers represent a duality. Now, let's go back to Fukuoka. A place that is noted for business and opportunity, the light of hope, but also for the exodus of youth and where crime is in the blood. Fukuoka is also home to one of the most famous examples of haikyo, meaning ruins, the Shime coal mine. This is an abandoned coal mine, active from 1889 to 1964, and now a tourist attraction of such popularity that it has its own page on Know Your Meme. It's one of the beautiful ruins of Japan, which are the subject of a large, global community of urban explorers who seek to uncover and document these spaces. The website haikyo.org is the most popular rallying point for this work. Amusement parks, hotels, castles, military bases and ghost towns. Abandoned versions of these spaces, crumbling through age and inattention or reclaimed by nature. The pictures here are stunning. Familiar environments that should be bustling hubs of activity, commerce or community. Instead, empty, evocative wrecks. The opportunity of Fukuoka, legitimate and illegitimate, and the beauty and despair of the ghost town. The duality. Put the two together, and it's the perfect setting for the game we're talking about today. I haven't played every game released this year, so I can't make a Games of the Year list. And even if I had, I probably wouldn't. But I do have a favourite game of the year. My favourite game released this year is one where you, an individual cast out of the life they knew, have to battle to rescue a decaying and cursed kingdom from the oppressive forces that have brought ruin to it. You do so by fighting with the tools at your disposal, finding new ones as you go, upgrading them as you do. Most significantly though, you play this game by helping the people you meet along the way. You learn about their hopes and fears, what brought them here and where they want to go. Their fight is your fight. Their dream is your dream. This is a game about corruption, a curse, hopes, dreams, and overcoming insurmountable odds. No, it's not that one. I have two favourite games this year, and it's not a 1A and 1B situation because that common designation still implies a hierarchy. This favourite game of the year episode could easily have been about Hollow Knight Silksong, but it's about this one instead. For me, Silksong and this one resonate in a very particular way. For me, Silksong and this do so much right, in similar but fundamentally different ways, that they are the joint answer to the question. Poles apart mechanically, but hearts beating in sync. A joint answer, but for me, this game, this is the one that shows me something I haven't seen before. This is the one that shocks me and moves me, makes me widen my eyes, raise an eyebrow, and laugh like a drain. This is the one with personality made of pure, weird, and positive fury, that wants to kick down some doors, scream from a rooftop, and save the world. This is the one that lifts me. It does this visually, character portraits that jump off the screen, ramen I want to dive into, vividly drawn stickers I'd plaster over every surface I could find, a distinct world full of variety and character drawn as an open world from a past generation of consoles that feels big but human, vast but reachable, in a way that open worlds from the current generation lose in the chase for unreal fidelity. It does this thematically, with its story of a doomed outsider exiled to a cursed town and tasked with restoring it and elevating it, finding a new and better life, finding renewed purpose, joy in the face of horror, and finding, yes, family. Most of all, it does this through its music. Music that perfectly captures the wild spirit of this game. A genre-spanning, kaleidoscopic vision of the East and the West that comes together to create a game so uplifting that I've yet to come down. East meets West. Another duality. Just one of the many this game revels in. Like the beautiful and the beastly, the graphic and the glorious, the cosmic and the carnal, the filthy, the fabulous, the scandalous, the sincere, the profane, the profound, the demented, the deranged, Promise Mascot Agency! Developed by Kaizen Gameworks and released across all platforms on April 10th, 2025, Promise Mascot Agency is described by the people that made it as an open-world mascot management crime drama where you play a disgraced Yakuza lieutenant who gets exiled to a dying town on the coast of Kyushu in Japan. That lieutenant is Michi, you. And at the start of the game, he takes the fall for his brother-in-arms, Tokihara, for a botched deal with a rival crime family. Rather than a customary, summary execution, he is instead sent away to Kasamachi, a broken town overlooking a bleak stretch of the Sea of Japan, and tasked with rebuilding and turning around the fortunes of a bankrupt mascot agency in order to pay off the debt he burdened his Yakuza family with. You must explore this region, locate and recruit mascots, send them on jobs, manage and improve their lives, manage and improve the agency, manage, improve, and rebuild this town. You do this in tandem with a traumatized, sociopathic, severed finger called Pinky, a character who presents as a female teenage girl who vacillates wildly between wildly positive and wildly destructive. And the two of you do this in a dilapidated Japanese K-truck, hurtling along the highways, rolling comically down the hills, and eventually taking to the skies above Kasamachi, your efforts to rescue the people around you quite literally lifting you up above your former life. At the time of writing, the game sits at 77 on Metacritic. It's probably the lowest score that I've called out on this show, which serves simply to demonstrate the power of personal taste and the crazy depth of games that 2025 has had. I get why people may not like certain aspects of this game, but I do think the positive, impassioned reviews ascribed to it are the most instructive thing here. Matt Murray's review over at So Many Games probably most closely mirrors my journey with the game, where he said, quote, "I went in expecting some kind of meme game akin to Goat Simulator, and instead got a game that took its hard-boiled Yakuza mixed with magical mascot beings conceit seriously. And I'm glad, because not only is the game all the better for its very particular tone, its messages of found family and redemption really struck a chord with me." End quote. Jill Grote at the Indian Informer said something similar in, quote, "There are a lot of ridiculously good call-outs to make, but what makes this game outstanding is the absurdity wraps around a solid gold centre of genuine sincerity." End quote. On YouTube, John at Gaming in the Wild published an excellent 25-minute review that emphasises the quality of the vibes in the game, calling it well put together and engaging, and concluding that, quote, "I think it's one of the best games that I've played this year." Even Yahtzee at Fully Ramblematic liked it. The high review scores are an easy standout. Maddie Chilton at PC Gamer gave the game a 94 and said, quote, "The least amicable city council meeting you've ever attended and probably the best game you'll play this year." Noisy Pixel gave it 9 out of 10 and said, quote, "Promise Mascot Agency not only delivers on its eccentric premise, but is surprisingly wholesome and heartfelt. Its characters are both relatable and immensely likeable. It is one of the most offbeat, gonzo and bizarre experiences I've had the pleasure of experiencing this year, while also being one of the most wholesome and comfortable." End quote. Criticisms come because of the repetitiveness of the game, the fetch quest heavy nature of it. And to this, I think we should look to then Polygon writer Chris Plant, who said, quote, "Here, the chores are simply a means of keeping my hands busy while I take a vacation in the game's utterly charming world." End quote. And why do I like it? Well, it's for all of those reasons, and a few more. I love the look of the game. Grainy and slightly grimy vision of a darkly beautiful side of Japan, a high-spec revival of the 3D worlds of the late 90s and early noughties. I love driving around in Michi's rickety K-Truck. It's the best boy of video game cars. It feels old, but it feels good. You can rocket boost off a cliff and through a neighbourhood vegetable patch. You can climb a mountain in comically slow fashion and roll down the other side in equally comical manner. You get wings, and you fly over train tracks, power plants, abandoned factories and harbours, and a gradually restored town centre. It's styled in a deliberately janky way designed to remind you of the PS2 era, but it's never mechanically obstructive. And on the mechanics, I enjoy delving into each mascot's backstory and working out what jobs they are best suited to. Off they go, packed with various vending machine items I've collected to aid them, and I'm nervous for them. When they return, the money they've earned can be invested in various avenues around town, all of which unlock various kinds of progress, new tools, and new challenges. The various collectibles around the town serve a similar function. Like the management side of this game, it's fairly light touch stuff. Nothing is overly challenging, but everything is fun to engage with, and every system feeds into the others in some way. More mascots means more jobs, means more money, means more upgrades, means more fans, means more money, and so on. You find cards around town to help with the battle system, the only aspect of the game that I don't love, that still gets a pass because every time one starts I get a kick out of seeing a fight card pop up that says something like Mascot versus Flight of Stairs. You can upgrade these cards by carrying out tasks for the various NPCs in the game, which I thought I would hate. But no. And this leads into the thing that I almost love the most about Promise Mascot Agency. The story. The station manager simply looking to honour his father. The young teacher lured to Casamachi on false pretences, but still determined to make a difference to the disaffected youth. The stoic civil servant, fully committed to atoning for years of aiding and abetting a corrupt mayor by risking it all in an attempt to depose him. The mascots themselves. Kofun, the one shaped like a gravestone who just wants to keep the history of Casamachi alive. Kanushi-kun, the raven who joined the priesthood to atone for his delinquent past, who wants the shrines around Casamachi cleaned. Dear, sweet Tofu. And then Michi, and then Pinky. The mixture of the exotic allure of a criminal underworld, surrealist comedy, and well-realised themes of redemption, the power of community, lifting up others while calling the corrupt to task. It's spirited, and it's invigorating, and it gets me. The writing is great, it's funny, silly, surreal and profound. Michi is something that, in the weirdest way, we all aspire to be. A guy who gets things done in the face of extreme physical and cosmic opposition, who possesses a will and moral code as strong as his ability to articulate it. He is a straight man with a soul, the perfect foil to the other hero of this game, Pinky. The glorious, disturbing, sentient severed finger that you should already know and love. Pinky is a character for the ages, a foul-mouthed punk made of white-hot anger, determined to do good but with no qualms about, shall we say, doing crimes. Absurdly charismatic, oddly aspirational, and with her backstory of emotional abandonment always relatable, Pinky is the beating heart of this game. There's a reason that she's on the cover. This is my favourite game of the year, and I wanted to talk to someone about it. And yet, it never occurred to me to reach out to Ollie Clark-Smith, Phil Crabtree or Rach McPherson, the representatives of Kaizen Gameworks who have made a number of interview appearances over the year, and have always provided witty, charming and insightful commentary on their game. Even if it had occurred to me to reach out to them, I don't think I have any particularly interesting questions for them that they haven't answered elsewhere. It only ever occurred to me to talk to someone else. The person responsible for the aspect of this game that worked in tandem with the story to affect me the most. that works in lockstep with the narrative to embody the soul and spirit of this game. The thing that lifts it off the screen and into the rhythm of your daily life. When thinking about revisiting this game, there was only ever one person I wanted to talk to.
Hey, I'm Alpha Chrome Yayo, or ACY, or Peter, or anything you want to call me within reason. I make vibey music for awesome video games and for other cool stuff, and hey, hopefully for your stereos.
Alpha Chrome Yayo is a musician and songwriter based in Belfast in Northern Ireland, and is the lead composer behind the soundtrack to Promise Mascot Agency. Prior to working on that score, he had been releasing music for several years that is astonishing in both quality and quantity. He is a musician who draws influence from multiple points of pop culture from the East and West, deftly fusing them with the craft and compositional skill that can only come from a real student of the form, and with the energy and generous spirit that can only come from a real lover of the craft. If you are familiar with his work or public persona, you will be aware of the infectious charm and energy he has for music and for the act of creation. Some people might hear his list of influences, from traditional Japanese wind music to Showa-era jazz, via J-pop and early house filtered through 80s funk, cinematic soundscapes, noughties vaporwave and the 90s metal of his youth, and consider it inaccessibly highbrow. But the obvious and irrepressible love he has for these genres, and the musicians that inspire him, makes his music as addictive as it is enjoyable. After deciding on this path as a team, he took a roundabout route to getting back there, taking in the usual detours we all face when trying to do the things we love, and when no longer enjoying the uneven balance of life as a musician with a job that, in his own words, was bad for him. He took the plunge and became Alpha Chrome Yayo full-time. I find his attitude, his work, and his ability to fuse myriad influences into shapes that are fun and full of hooks but retain weird edges and experimental flourishes inspiring. But that last point, that's something else. Like the characters in the game we're talking about, he followed his dream. Let's tell that story, and talk about Michi, and about Pinky, and promises made, and promises kept. Hi, I'm Andrew. Welcome to Dialogue Tree. This is episode 32. Some Dreams Come True. Alpha Chrome Yayo on Promise Mascot Agency. Hello, Alpha Chrome Yayo. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. So, yeah.
It's a pleasure to have you on. I do appreciate it. How is your Christmas prep going? Like, what does this time of year look like to you?
I mean, I'm a big Christmas dude in general, so I like it, you know. I've busted out loads of Christmas records. I've done most of my Christmas shopping. I only got electrocuted by my outside lights once, which, it was fine. I had a tingly hand for a couple of days. It felt a bit like I was in a Christmas movie, so that was something. Yeah, it's going good. It's a weird time of year. I know it can be tough for many reasons for many people, but I'm just, like everyone, trying to get through it as joyfully as possible, I guess.
I think you're ahead of the game there if you've done most of your Christmas shopping already, so congratulations.
Oh, cheers. I feel unusually prepared, to be honest.
Yeah, and a mild electric shock, that is the Christmas's gift to you.
Yeah, exactly. A very festive experience. Yeah, it jingled my bell into oblivion.
Very nicely put. Very nicely put. I think it's fair to say it's been a pretty big, 2025 for you. So how are you feeling now, looking back at the end of the year?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a big year for me, definitely. Promise Mascot Agency came out that I was lead composer on that with some other incredible musicians like Ryo Koike and Noz. I'd been working on it for a long time. I think, I did the first track that I recorded for that was maybe 4, closer to 5 years ago. So I've been itching for it to come out, and I knew people were going to love this game, but you never know how they're going to if they're going to like my music or not. But in general, it's been pretty well received, which has been incredibly lovely. Another big thing for me this year is that I've kind of worked composing for a good few years now, but I've mostly been doing it alongside other stuff. But as of the 1st of January 2025, I started doing it full time. So I've nearly got through a full year of doing it full time, and somehow I'm still here, which is cause for celebration in my eyes. So yeah, it's been going good. It's been a weird, exciting, slightly scary, incredibly lovely year.
That is great to hear. Going full time on the 1st of January and having such a successful year. Yeah, I think that's cause for celebration.
Oh, cheers, man. I appreciate that very much.
Today we are going to be talking about the soundtrack you made to my favourite game of the year, your process, the influences you brought to it, and your overall thoughts on the game. And then later on, as it is very much the silly season, we will be talking a bit about Christmas and, in my head at least, putting together a very demented Christmas party. But first, I'd like to talk about you, your music, and how you got here. So first, what are your earliest memories of gaming? Like, what hooked you at a young age?
So, like, the very first gaming experience I had was on, like, a crumbling old ZX Spectrum that we had in the house. I mean, my memories of it are limited. I remember playing a game called Anti-Attack on it, which some might argue was the world's first survival horror, if you're going to be really, really predicting. It was great, but, you know, beyond a set of limited bleeps and bloops, it wasn't great audio-wise. The Commodore 64 with the SID chip was way better. Not that I was paying a huge amount of attention to the sound of things anyway. I was just delighted by whatever was going on the screen, and in the case of the Spectrum, delighted that it was working, because sometimes you would spend 20 minutes loading a game on a tape, and you know, it wouldn't work, and you'd have to start again. But the first real gaming experience that kind of felt like it blew my world open a bit was when I got a Sega Mega Drive, or Genesis for US friends, for Christmas when I was a little guy, and it was just great. You know, it just felt like my whole world changed when I played this thing. And you know, I always loved how it sounded. I mean, I think I've had Starlight Zone from Sonic 1 stuck in my head for like the past 30 years or something. It's kind of my background music that always clicks in at some point. I also love the soundtrack for Sonic 2, especially Chemical Plant Zone. That was a banger. And Streets of Rage as well. So these were early gaming experiences, but they were always kind of to some degree accompanied by sound as well, even though I was probably not really thinking about it on a super conscious level at the very start. But yeah, those early gaming experiences were very formative for me, both in terms of being a dude who loves games, and a little guy who's tentatively getting into making music as well.
I feel like there is a YouTube essay waiting to be made in on Ant-Attack being the world's first survival horror.
And I'm the dude to do it.
Yeah, totally.
I'll raise that claim.
You can be that guy. So I'm guessing that video game music was an immediate draw for you. You've covered a few early standouts there. Have there been any others in the years since that have really stood out to you?
Oh, just so many. I mean, countless games. I'm a big fan of Akira Yamaoka of Silent Hill fame. A huge influence on a bunch of stuff that I do. I mean, if I'm playing a game, especially, you know, as a grown-up rather than a little guy, I'm really paying a lot of attention to the sound. I'm sure there are for many people that's their experience too. So it's incredibly important to me. There are just endless games that I love the soundtrack for. The Persona series is a big one for me as well, especially kind of Persona 3 onwards. Persona 4 actually is my number one favourite, both as a game and in terms of the soundtrack on its own. I love that kind of... it has this kind of disco vibe that is somehow paradoxically upbeat, but also kind of melancholy and a little bit sad. And I love that. I love when kind of emotions get a bit bended and twisted and smushed together and stuff like that. So any game that does that is always big for me. Another huge influence is the Yakuza series as well, or the Like a Dragon series. That game has been so influential on me for any number of reasons. I mean, I genuinely think playing Yakuza 0 turned me into a better person. It felt like it rewired my brain somehow to some degree, and the sound of it is incredible as well, both in terms of the kind of the diegetic and the non-diegetic audio. You've got your karaoke tracks, you've got the bang battle music and stuff as well, and of course in terms of audio, you've also got incredible voice acting too. So it's been hugely important to me, both as a audio dude and just as a human being. I think the Yakuza series has just fundamentally changed me in many ways.
You were kind enough to share a few of those recommendations with me before we spoke today, and I have been listening to the Persona 4 soundtrack, and I feel like for the last few years I've only ever been about 5 minutes away from starting a Persona, from dropping everything, from dropping all my personal and podcasting responsibilities and just playing a Persona game. I feel like listening to this soundtrack has moved me sort of about 2 minutes away.
Yeah, you've nudged a little closer.
What you said there about the Persona 4 soundtrack was that rang true with me. It's something else. It's incredible. And so, would you recommend as a Persona novice and someone who doesn't have a lot of experience with sort of like turn-based JRPGs, would you recommend Persona 4 over 5 as the way into the series?
Yeah, I think, most people would probably recommend 5 because it feels a bit more fully formed and stuff, but for me, Persona 4 is like that feels like the way in to me. It just kind of feels like it's a summation of everything that I think is really good about the series. I slightly prefer the story. Actually, I prefer the story a lot. I love the soundtrack. Persona 5 is great as well, but there's just something about 4 that kind of just rings true in my heart, and I will be an eternal evangelist for it, and I think it's a great place to start the series. They probably all are, really, but yeah, Persona 4 rules. I would say, over Christmas, nudge that 2 minutes down to 1 minute, and maybe by next year you'll be 5 seconds away from one of the best experiences of your life.
I can see 100 hours of my life just ebbing away.
Yeah, it's a big time sink. Actually, well, that's another decent reason, is that 4 is probably slightly shorter, I think. Although I think there's like a reboot of it coming out, so you might want to hold off until that comes out. Hey, what's the point in waiting? Just jump in. You could be having fun right now.
I know. It's a wonderful thing of the modern age. And what you said about Yakuza 0 there. Yes, your recommendation for that you made to me has prompted me to, after years of being tempted to, finally jump into that game. And I think we might talk a little bit more about that later. So we'll put a pin in that for now.
Awesome.
So going back to when you were a little guy, from those early experiences, gaming and games music, what was your route into composing music?
Well, as soon as I found out that composing for games was not just a thing that people did, but an actual job. Once I realized that this was not just music that somehow appeared in there, that there was a person making it, I really wanted to do that. I studied music in school. My parents always have been and still are exceptionally supportive of me making music, which is incredible. From a young age I had piano lessons and saxophone lessons. I got an electric guitar for the first time when I was about 11 years old or something, and again, that was a very formative experience. I just felt like it blew my world right open. Even just not knowing how to play this, but plugging this thing into an amp and touching the strings, or even just touching the guitar, it made cool sounds, and that sort of felt like home. So for a long time, the guitar was kind of my main instrument, which that intently annoyed my school music teacher, who, to put it politely, was a jerk. Basically, I have incredibly supportive parents. I've had great music teachers teaching me how to play instruments over the years, but my GCSE A-level music teacher was not a good dude, in my opinion. He was very narrow-minded in terms of what music fundamentally is, and of course, as a precocious teenager, I was raving about how I wanted to work on soundtracks and make music for game music. And his opinion, that he verbatim told me, was that soundtracks, not even just game soundtracks, any soundtracks, are not real music. It's not a real career, and I wouldn't be able to do it anyway, basically. So to some degree, I should probably thank him, because maybe this is like a spite career that I've forged, I tend to be a fairly positive guy, but I guess spite is a pretty good motivator too.
Anger is an energy.
Yeah, exactly. So I never, despite that, I never really lost the the love of music and wanting to do this. But actually, I kind of took a wayward path into it. I studied film at university, and I worked making sort of arts documentaries and stuff, freelance for a few years. I kind of got into radio after that, and sort of that way round got back into to making music again. I started kind of self-releasing my own music as Alpha Chrome Yayo, I don't know, like 7 or 8 years ago or something like that. When I first started releasing music as Alpha Chrome Yayo, it actually was goofy and, looking back, kind of not great tracks inspired by the Yakuza series. But then I started taking it a lot more seriously, and I started getting composition gigs, and then I found myself in the lovely position of getting so many composition gigs, I was having to turn them down to kind of work my other job that I was doing at the time, which, you know, it was a job that it wasn't good for me mentally or physically. You know, eventually I just thought, well, why am I turning down the stuff that I absolutely love to do a thing that I think is really not good anymore? So that's why I made the kind of the scary move to get into composition full time. So yeah, that's the whistle stop tour of my musical journey, I guess.
That's very interesting. 43 albums later, I think you showed that music teacher.
Oh, thanks, man.
What a bizarre attitude to have.
It was really strange. I mean, I've never seen or heard anything like that from anybody, let alone somebody who's meant to kind of inspire children to do a cool thing. So bizarre.
To be a teacher of the arts and to not like the arts. That's quite
that is way more succinct and accurate than I could have put it to. Yeah.
I guess that's an art in itself.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. So that's a lovely segue into talking about your personal music. And there is a lot of it. And I do want to give it some attention. That doesn't derail us, but is more than just sort of surface level praise.
Sure.
I think people should listen to your music, and I felt the best way to encapsulate the ACY experience would be to pick a few albums that represent the range of your influences and the breadth of your compositional styles. And having listened to a lot of your music, I think that your 3 most recent releases prior to the Promise Mascot Agency soundtrack are maybe the most effective representations of this. Now, those are Dream Chaser, Home for Hidetama, and Heart Engine. I was wondering, could you tell the listener a little bit about these albums? Like, how do they differ? What sort of mood, vibe, or energy do each of these reflect?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, first of all, thanks so much for taking the time to not just listen, but listen to loads of stuff, because that's probably a bigger time sink than any Persona game.
So probably is now that I think about it. Yeah.
I deeply appreciate it, and I really appreciate the kind words too. And you're quite right; they're the most recent albums I've kind of put out myself. You know, for a period there, I was releasing many albums every year, but I've had to kind of slow that down a bit because I'm composing for games for most. That takes up most of my musical energy, but I still do love putting out my own releases. Dream Chaser was the most recent one. It is very upbeat. It's kind of like DDR, Initial D style Eurobeat for the most part, with some weird jazzy bits in there too, and some strange horny stuff going on. It is a hugely positive album, because I mentioned the fact that I left a job that I thought was kind of bad for me, and I'm doing this full time. This album was basically about that. I started that album once I had decided that was what I was going to do, and then I finished it kind of I think near enough the day after. It was right at the start of the year, you know, near enough the kind of the day after I started doing this full time was when I finished the album. So some of the tracks on it probably sound slightly more morose because I was probably still doing a thing that I didn't really like doing. But for the most part, it's a very jubilant album. And you know, it's all about exactly that: finding something that you love doing, or you know, just finding the thing that makes you happy, whether that's a person or people or an experience or an art. Finding that thing and just doing everything in your power to do that thing forever. That's basically the crux of the album. And you know, I enjoy it very much. Like a lot of my albums, it's very silly in a lot of places, but you can be very serious about doing a thing, and you know, be silly and have fun at the same time. You know, if Frank Zappa can do it, then you know, why not anybody else? So it's a big fun, kind of goofy, very positive album. The other two you mentioned, Home for Hidadama, that is a fully instrumental album, and it's designed to, each track is meant to be a ghost story, basically. A lot of them are inspired by real life ghost stories from around the world. Some of them are inspired by ghost stories I've made up in my little head. So a lot of the time it's kind of spooky and strange and a bit creepy. But, you know, ghosts don't have to necessarily be sad or creepy, so there's some kind of exciting and happy moments on the album too. It's one that I used a lot of traditional Japanese instruments for as well, like on the Promise Mascot Agency soundtrack. So I had a really good time doing that one as well, even if it wasn't as kind of riotously upbeat as Dream Chaser. And then Heart Engine is another one which kind of maybe splits the difference a bit. It kind of skews jazz fusion, city pop type vibes. A lot of it, again, slightly similar to some of the stuff in Promise Mascot Agency. Again, an album that I had a great time doing. I had an amazing artist from Belfast working on the artwork for it as well. I mean, artwork's a huge part of any album for me, and something I really love doing is kind of getting to hire and work with just incredible artists from all over the place, whether that's 5 minutes down the road from me or on the other side of the world. But yeah, like all my albums, they mean a lot to me, and I'm just extremely grateful for anybody like yourself taking the time to dive into them and listen to them and thinking about them and hopefully have a good time with them.
Yeah, I think everything you said there is sort of encapsulated how each of those albums is different, and has kind of encapsulated how many different styles and influences you are able to synthesize in your music, which is one of the most exciting things about it. It's one of the most like kind of energizing things about listening to your albums. And you spoke there about the positive energy in Dream Chaser. Now, I think your use of social media is great and warrants some attention, because you capture that positive energy there. You post like short videos on Instagram and YouTube covering a range of subjects. My favorites being kind of one, how you create the vibes in your home studio, and there was one where you created a guide on how to compose an Enya-like song.
Oh yeah. And you big Enya fan.
Yeah, that was great. You managed to smash that into a really lively, really well edited, really fun 5-minute video. And there's a kind of like joyful, like improvisational energy to these. They have this vibe of like, I've just had a cool idea, like let's go, let's do this.
That's great.
To them. I've heard you talk about your intention to always bring sort of constructive, positive energy to your work. So what I wanted to ask was, because I think you probably have some words of wisdom to impart, how do you remind or motivate yourself to achieve this on a day-to-day basis? Like, do you have any techniques that help you stay constructive or positive?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, as I said, I try to kind of stay positive, but, you know, obviously you don't see or hear everything that's going on inside my head, which is probably a good thing, because like many people, you know, I can be a very, very anxious dude a lot of the time. So when I'm doing a lot of this stuff, it's obviously I'm doing it because I want to share something cool, but also I'm doing it because it's good for me, you know. So something I find really helpful is to just do exactly that. You know, people ask me about marketing and stuff sometimes, and obviously to some degree, if I'm making videos about my process, you know, I'm kind of probably at least some of the time kind of marketing myself and showing what I can do to any potential, you know, clients and stuff in the future. But the thing is, I don't really think about that, or I don't really have to think about that, because my process tends to be to do exactly what you said, to find a fun thing and work out how to share it in a fun way. And that way it's fun for me, and any kind of marketing bonus, well, it's exactly that, it's a bonus, you know. So if I'm having fun first and foremost, hopefully that is kind of infectious or engaging to some degree, and if people see me having fun, hopefully, even if they don't necessarily have an awful lot of interest in what I'm doing, hopefully, you know, they'll have a bit of fun watching me having fun. And then yeah, absolutely, any kind of any kind of, you know, marketing payoff, it's a kind of gross word, but that's a bonus, basically. That's like a free extra that you get when you have fun. And I think that's a really good way to approach kind of most things, you know. Not everything in life works that way, and you can't have fun all the time, but if you can try and have fun where you can, I think that sort of can carry you very far. And also, if you are feeling a bit twisted up and your brain's not playing ball, it kind of tricks you into having fun anyway, you know. Brains are tricky, fiddly things, and they can be adversarial a lot of the time. But if you can kind of rewire yourself, like if you brute force rewire yourself by trying to have fun, sometimes it works. And again, if it does, hey, that's a great bonus and something to be celebrated.
The act of creation is its own reward.
Yeah, 100%. Again, a much more succinct and apt way than I put it. I went the long way around. Yeah,
I like your way. It's more evocative. So to tie sort of all of these disparate things together, I think it would be nice to tie up this sort of intro section by talking about the influence of Japanese culture and music on your work. We should probably cover your specific musical influences in the main topic. So just to get an idea of where all this came from, do you have a formative experience of Japanese culture? Was there like one piece of media or one moment that put you on this path?
Yeah, there actually was. It was a advert, weirdly enough, that I saw like when I was, again, a little guy, I think about 9 or 10 years old. It was on Channel 4 late at night, and it was an advert for Murphy's Irish Stout. It was done in anime style. It was very similar to the way Akira looks. It was kind of set in a like a Neo Tokyo kind of city, and it followed 3 samurai warriors racing through the streets before eventually arriving at a pub and ordering a round of Murphy's Stout. And it's way better than I'm making it sound. It is an incredible advert. It's by, I wrote down the name of the dude in case I forgot. Hiroyuki Kitakubo is the dude who directed it. He actually worked on Akira as well and stuff like
No way.
Blood as well. He didn't direct Akira, but he worked on it. So he's got chops. He's got form, and it's just awesome. I hugely encourage anybody to look up, like, I don't know, Murphy's Stout 90s anime manga, whatever. I'll turn it up. It's great. I'd never seen anything like that when I was young. And again, that was a very formative experience that kind of opened my eyes to this whole new world. And about the same kind of time, also on Channel 4, they would air lots of anime late at night, stuff like Akira and sometimes fairly bad anime too, but it all added up in my brain, and I'd tape this and watch it and talk to friends about it in school, so I had weeb tendencies from a young age, and since then I'm a grown man for all intents and purposes, and I love a lot of Japanese culture has a huge influence, as you said, on my work, but it's always very important to me not to do that or live that in a superficial way. I mean, I don't just stick a couple of kanji on an album cover and be done with that. It's very important for me to shout out the cultures and the creators that influenced me, whether it's like people like Hiroshi Yoshimura, who made he's sadly passed, beautiful ambient music, which has been a huge influence on me, and just countless other creators as well, and other facets of life. It's very important to me that I show that I am aware that I am a white dude in Belfast, and I have great respect and appreciation for the culture, the many cultures that inspire me, even on some of the albums that we mentioned already, like Home Free to Dama, there's an Icelandic influence in some of that too, and a lot of Gaelic influence. It's always very important for me to shout out the influences that I wear on my sleeves. But yeah, absolutely, from Murphy's Stout to surrounding myself with loads of Japanese jazz fusion and cinema and cuisine. It's been and is quite a journey. I just love learning about people. I love finding new experiences and new ways of approaching things. I think that's a good way to live, and as long as you celebrate the people that you draw influence from, I think it's a positive thing.
I think you can tell from your music that you are very immersed in that world. It does not, it does not come across as superficial.
That's good.
Way. It's, you can really feel that it's the work of someone who is like very steeped and very educated in this style.
Oh, thank you very
and
much.
The instrumentation of it. I have never seen that Murphy's Akira
so good.
advert.
It's so
And
good.
I consider myself a connoisseur of weird 90s Channel 4 late night stuff. I've never seen that. That is mad. I'm going to look that up.
It's really good. It's really, really good. I think adverts in general are kind of really interesting. I mean, not to sound like an ultra-capitalist pig or something, but they're always a really interesting kind of snapshot of a time. It's kind of very zeitgeist, like just squished into, you know, a little 1 or 2 minute slab, and they're really interesting to watch. I remember actually when I was a young guy, my dad recording like a VHS tape of just adverts, and I had no idea why, but now I fully get it. I spend loads of time watching sort of old adverts and watching kind of old VHS recordings of stuff like Channel 4 late at night, partly so I can see all the adverts that go in between, and it's deeply interesting. And but yeah, check out that Murphy's one. It is the business.
So lastly, before we go on to the main topic today, do you have any favourite representations of Japan in video games? Or what do you think are some of the best or most effective representations of Japan in games?
Well, I think it's maybe a slightly selfish answer for me, but I like when games offer me a real place or somewhere inspired by a real place in Japan that I can walk around. It's better than, Google Street View. So stuff like Kamurocho in the Yakuza series, which is inspired by the real life Kabukicho, is a great one. There's also stuff like Hinamizawa in the Higurashi series, which is this kind of crumbling, cursed small town again in Japan, which has similarities in some degree to Promise Mascot Agency. That's another big one for me. It was written by Ryukishi 07, who wrote Silent Hill F. So that's not a recent one for me. That gives you that it's not in a realistic way at all. For the most part, in terms of the kind of the creatures and stuff you're battling, but the actual world you walk around in, not the other world, but the main world of the game, does have that kind of show a 60s small town thing going on, and you can go into a shop and you can look at toys and stuff. I really, really like that. And also, again, to some degree, the Persona games. I mean, you have the exploration is somewhat slightly limited, but you can see the kind of shops and restaurants that might be in a small town. I always like that, and I tend to gravitate more, for the most part, to games with small towns. I like small town strangeness in general. I love Twin Peaks, and I love that X-Files episode Arcadia, where it's sort of weird stuff going on in suburbs and small towns. So anything that can give me a bit of that, I'm always a big fan of.
This would probably be the point for me to talk about Yakuza, because I shouldn't derail us later on with this. You recommended the Yakuza series to me, specifically Yakuza 0, which would have been the one I started with anyway, because that's the one that people often recommend as being, because it's the first in terms of the timeline, first in terms of the narrative of the series. I've been playing this, and I'm absolutely hooked. I can't believe I've left it this long to play these games, and part of that has been just wandering around Kamurocho. There's not a lot you can interact with apart from hitting people, but it is so visually dense and so immersive and so evocative of that side of Japan. It's been quite an experience. And just to go back to what you said earlier about the voice acting in the series, the character Kuze, who has a voice like gravel dipped in honey.
What a voice! What a voice! What a character!
I am so hooked on this game. I can see again, like with Persona, I can see hours of my life going away with this series, because I've been so taken by it that I can see myself just going through the series one by one from now on. In terms of other representations of Japan in video games, I had a couple that I wanted to throw at you and see if you had any experience with these.
Absolutely.
There's The World Ends With You. Do you have any experience with that?
I own it. I haven't played it yet, but it looks great. It's I've been trying to work out. I like to pick a game that I can really dive into over the Christmas break, and that's definitely one of the possibles. It's good then.
It's cool. Yeah. It's obviously this is a DS game from developed by Square Enix from the 2000s. I can't remember exactly which year it was published. It's obviously more limited in terms of its presentation than something like Yakuza, but it captures the style and the kind of visual energy of Japan quite neatly. It is set entirely in Shibuya, so that's cool. It's an exhausting game. The
My favorite kind.
Yeah, the battle system is insane. You are using you're battling on the touchscreen and the top screen of the DS simultaneously, using the D-pad to affect the top screen and the touchscreen to affect the bottom screen. So it's it's a mental workout. So yeah, enjoy that over Christmas if you so choose to indulge in it.
A nice grueling festive season sounds great to me. I'm not even joking about that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, I think you'll like it. It is very cool. And the other one that came to mind is sort of from the other end of the spectrum is the Famicom Detective Club games.
Oh, they're brilliant. Yeah, incredible games.
Cool.
Yeah, really, really cool.
I like how they capture the provincial side of Japan with quite the kind of the less glamorous, like kind of boxy architecture. And just more low key, and I think it's very true to life while still being very distinctive, and I really like that in Emio the Smiling Man from I think that was from last year. I don't know if you played that, but yeah, it's very evocative of a specific sort of place that we don't really see in the West, which I quite like.
Yeah, that's definitely a really good point. I love when games do that, especially when you see somewhere, like you say, that you don't see in the West, and also that you don't necessarily see in a lot of even Japanese media in terms of games. Like there was one I played recently, a visual novel based on the kind of the party game Werewolf called Raging Loop, and that showed you, again, it was, for all intents and purposes, a suburban cursed village to some degree, but it was slightly different than other things you'd see. It had the vibe of a kind of bizarre trailer park, but in cursed rural Japan style, and it was great. Again, offering me something like you said that you just don't necessarily have the chance to see and experience that often. Even if it is in a fantastical setting, it's something new, and that's great.
That's great, and I think that is a good time for us to take a break. And when we come back, we are going to talk all about your soundtrack to the game Promise Mascot Agency. We are back from the break, and I am here with Alpha Chrome Yayo, and now we are going to talk all about his soundtrack to Promise Mascot Agency. So first, a little background. How did you come to be involved in the project?
So I'd kind of been pals with the Kaizen gang on the internet, on what was Twitter, RIP, many, many moons ago. I was a huge fan, and still am a huge fan, of their previous game, Paradise Killer. I think maybe I first got on their radar when I was obsessed with Paradise Killer, and still am, and the soundtrack, which is wonderful, by the incredible Barry Topping. I think I had recorded like a little cover of one of the tracks and just stuck it up online, and they saw it and they dug it, and we kind of got talking online and stuff, and that was really nice. And then a few months later, an email dinged into the inbox from Ollie from Kaizen saying, hey, could we have a meeting and have a chat about a possible thing? And they all jumped on the call, Ollie and Rachel and Phil, and told me about this game they had in the works involving a cursed town in rural Kyushu with a Yakuza crime story and strange sentient mascots. And instantly I knew it was the kind of thing that even if I had no involvement in, I would be obsessed with this thing. So it was a huge honor when they asked if I would be lead composer on the game, and I couldn't say yes quick enough. I don't know if I've ever said yes to anything so quick in my life. It was great. It was and is an honor to be involved in the creation of something that I think is just lightning in a bottle. I think it's a magical game, and it means a great deal to me. And like Yakuza, and even more so than Yakuza, it fundamentally changed my life in many ways. So I'm hugely grateful for it. That one quick meeting changed a lot of stuff for me, and that's how it all started at my end anyway.
the game is a hybrid of management sim, visual novel, and a sort of exploration adventure game. Now, most people have experience of exploration and adventure games, but management sims and visual novels are more niche prospects. Do you have much experience with either? Did the nature of those genres give you any pause before signing on to compose the soundtrack? It doesn't really sound like it did, so...
Yeah, if anything, they gave me, what's the opposite of pause? Haste? I don't know.
Yeah.
I love, I particularly love visual novels. I mentioned a couple already. They're a great medium as far as I'm concerned. Something I really like about visual novels is that a lot of the time, not always, but a lot of the time you're left with a still image, text on a screen, and music. So music really has to do a lot of heavy lifting a lot of the time, to set the scene and paint the picture. I mean, obviously the words are the more fun. It's a novel, that's the fundamentally most important thing. But the music is of deep importance, I think, in visual novels, and can be hugely transformative for me. Steins Gate is one of my favorite visual novels. Again, also a great representation of a specific locale in Japan, in Akihabara. And the music is brilliant. It's there are countless visual novels that I just adore, so that did not bother me in the slightest, and if anything, it made me really happy that I wouldn't call Promise Mascot Agency a visual novel itself, but certainly there's dialogue, there's definite overlap anyway. In terms of management games, I have less experience with them. One that I do deeply love, which I'm just thinking I must have played after I started Promise Mascot Agency because Ollie from Kaizen recommended it, is A-Train, All Aboard Tourism, which is kind of this kind of train line thing with also kind of town management aspects as well. In fact, actually buried within Promise Mascot Agency, there is a small reference to that game as well in one of the jobs. It's one that I adore, but again, I don't think I'd played it till I started Promise Mascot Agency. I don't think I'd even heard of it until Ollie mentioned it. But I dig management games, not to the same degree as visual novels. But hey, they're cool. I love games in general.
Yeah.
I'd be hard pushed to find a genre that I didn't appreciate to at least some small degree. Cool. So no, it definitely didn't give me pause. And if anything, it quickened my step a little bit.
Oh, cool. So I think I've done my due diligence now. Let's gush about this game and this soundtrack. This is my favourite soundtrack of the year to my favourite game of the year.
Warms my heart.
I think the soundtrack, it accompanies the game in the best sense. Like, it reflects the spirit, character, and personality of the game. And when you listen to it, away from the game, it lifts you up whilst fully kind of immersing you in the world of the game. It's a way of taking the game with you, which I think is very important with this game. One that is so spiritually uplifting and rewarding as it is. First, I think it would be interesting to hear about any specific influences you had when composing the soundtrack.
Yeah, I mean, thanks so much for that. It's rattled me that it's hard to talk after hearing that. That's so lovely. That's exactly what I want to do with any soundtrack or with any album even. So that's incredible to hear and deeply appreciated. And in terms of influences, obviously, I had my own influences that I brought to the table, and as did Kaizen in terms of their kind of reference points. When I'm composing for something, it's always great when I get a brief with some kind of reference points that are both visual and audio in terms of other soundtracks or albums or TV shows or movies, which Kaizen provided for me with great gusto, and it's great to get that kind of stuff anyway, but it's really nice when it's stuff that I just love with every fibre of my being anyway. So a lot of the influences were things like kind of old Yakuza movies, like the Battles Without Honor Humanity series, stuff like Twin Peaks, Takeshi Miike films, and just Showa era jazz fusion as a whole. Artists like Masayoshi Takanaka, Tatsuya Yamashita, stuff like that. A huge melting pot of influences that are stuff that I consume anyway, so it was great getting to consume even more of it and consider it homework to some degree. So just out of shot there, you can't see it, but I've got like a little CRT monitor that is kind of directly in my eye line when I'm working away in the studio here. I like to run stuff on that visual stuff with the sound off to kind of get the vibes right. And you mentioned earlier that vibes are a huge part of the process for me. I mean, I'm lucky to be surrounded by great gear and wonderful instruments from around the world, but if the vibes are right in the studio and in my brain, that counts for a lot for me. If the vibes are right, the music will somehow follow shortly after. So that visual influence was a huge part for me. So I'd run loads of Twin Peaks episodes with the sound off. I'd run old Japanese like game shows and stuff, which inspired a lot of the kind of the card battling sequences and things like that. So just all stuff that I really, really love anyway. And one thing actually that I did ramp up is that I started going to a jazz club here in Belfast a lot more. There's one that's deeply inspired by jazz kisa culture in Japan, jazz kind of cafe culture. It's run by a dude called Philip Arneal, who is a photographer who lived in Japan for a long time and created a photo book called Tokyo Jazz Joints, kind of exploring these jazz kisa and stuff like that. So I'd go to this jazz club, listen to kind of riotous screaming saxophones, pour through this book, looking at these kind of various locations and kind of trying to immerse my brain in this world. Also, deeply enjoying myself and sipping a few cocktails and getting to call it homework was brilliant, and still is. I still go to the same jazz club whenever I can, and it's great. So I'm not like a method actor, but the more I can immerse myself in a world through kind of visual, audio, and real life experiences, the better it is for me and hopefully for anybody enjoying the end product. So yeah, lots of influences in the melting pot, and thankfully it was a lot of the stuff that I just love anyway. So it was great.
Twin Peaks and cocktails sounds like the best office environment you could possibly create. The best vibes imaginable.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You mentioned there about the gear that you have in your studio. I'm glad you touched on that because I wanted to ask you about in terms of how your influences are manifested in the soundtrack. Because I think that something that stands out about you as a composer is your ability to fuse traditional sounds and arrangements with like established genres and with modern production. Now you use a wide range of analog and electronic instruments. So would you say that any of these in particular define the sound of the Promise Mascot Agency soundtrack? Were there any instruments you used that you found the most satisfying to compose with?
It's hard to pick a single one that would define the soundtrack as a whole because again it's kind of a melting pot of influences, of sounds, of instruments. There's one that I have sitting beside me which is a synthesizer called the Roland JV1080, which is kind of a Rumpler sample based synthesizer. I use that for a lot of the more upbeat numbers because it has this kind of, it's digital but it has this kind of wonderful kind of magically analog sound a lot of the time because a lot of it is created using samples and stuff. So a lot of the kind of the slap bass sound you'll hear on the album is a mixture of slap bass from kind of the plastic kind of synthesizer sound and real life bass as well. But something that you touched on which I really enjoyed was using a heap of traditional Japanese instruments. So I've got shamisen on there, I've got shakuhachi, I've got taishogoto, although my taishogoto again is this slightly unusual synthesizer taishogoto hybrid. All instruments that I loved getting to kind of pick up and get to grips with. And not to toot my own flute too hard, but I'm generally pretty good at picking up new instruments. But the shakuhachi was a different story. That is so hard to play. It's for anyone not familiar with it, it is a bamboo flute with kind of roots in Zen practices. And I'd always read that I'd always wanted one. So finally this was a great excuse to get one. I'd read that it was extremely difficult to play. It's even more difficult to play than I had kind of at first envisioned. I kind of immersed myself in YouTube videos and books by there's a great series of books by shakuhachi master Masayuki Koga. It was in one of these books, I think it might have been the Koga book, where it says if you're picking up the instrument, and to get a sound out of this thing, you have to have your mouth held in the exact right position, the shakuhachi at the exact right height, and at the exact right angle, otherwise no sound is going to come out. So I'd read this quote saying, if you're trying this and you feel like you're doing everything right and there's no sound coming out, just enjoy that. Just walk around your house enjoying the sound of the air flowing through it, even if it's not making a tone. And I grew to love that. And actually I recorded the sound of the kind of the breathy whistle of the air rushing through it. I sampled that sound and layered it with a bunch of other sounds and a few tracks in the game. And even now when I pick up the shakuhachi, there's a good chance that I might not get a sound out of it for the first 5 minutes of playing it. So yeah, that was a huge challenge. A lot of the shakuhachi in the album required a great number of takes to make it passable and stuff. So it was a challenge to overcome, a challenge which I'm still overcoming because I'm still learning how to play the shakuhachi as well. But it's one that I deeply relished, and it was great getting to kind of turn a negative into a positive to some degree, using those kind of what should have been lost sounds, turning them into a thing in the game, felt really cool. And not to get too over the top about it, but it felt kind of it felt thematically correct for the themes of Promise Mascot Agency, taking a positive and kind of twisting it around and making something more than the sum of its parts.
I was dubious about putting such a stealthy music nerd question.
I'm glad I did.
That was really interesting. Thank you for that. So looking back on the soundtrack now, was there any one moment, like during the production of it, where you felt like it had clicked, like where it felt like it was coming together in a manner that matched what you and Kaizen Gameworks were going for?
I think so, and I think it came pretty early. I think it would have been the track Kazamachi Nights, which is one of my personal favourites off the soundtrack. It's one of my favourite songs I've ever written. It's this kind of late night, again, to some degree like Persona, kind of funky, but kind of slightly sad and mysterious kind of song. I love that track, and it's one of the ones where, I could be sweating over a track for ages and, trying to kind of squish like squares into round holes to try and make things work and stuff like that, and before I eventually get to the answer. With Kazamachi Nights, it felt like the music was in the ether and I was plucking it out of the air and everything was just flowing. It just felt great. I knew at the time this is a banger. I sent it off to Kaizen and they said, yeah, this is the vibe basically. You've smashed it on this one. This is exactly what we want, and we're all on the same page. And that was fairly early in the process. I think it was maybe like the second or third thing I'd sent them. I was sending off kind of short form, quick ideas and firing them out there, saying, let's we'll pick a few and kind of delve into them and explore them more deeply. But as soon as that one hit, it was like, no, this is the thing. And yeah, so that was great. And it was a real good confidence boost to have that at that early stage in the process as well. Because, obviously I'm going to keep doing something until it's right, until it matches the vibe, until everybody's happy. But to have everybody, including myself, happy that early on was a great boost. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, it's really rewarding to have that feedback. It's funny that you should bring up that particular song because I think that might come up in what I'm going to ask you next.
Oh, nice.
Now, I could rave about the soundtrack as a whole, or ask you to pick your favourites, but I understand why that might be hard. So here's what I thought we'd do. So, like with your albums, I thought I'd like to focus on 3 songs that I think best represent the breadth and the style and tone of the soundtrack. The first of those, and I've perhaps stitched myself up a bit here because I have no idea how to say this. It's the first song on the soundtrack, which I cannot say.
Suiho Sareta.
So this song is the first one that people hear on the soundtrack, and it's the first one that people hear in the game. If you've seen any footage of the game, seen any gameplay, you've probably heard this song. And it feels like an effective distillation of several influences of the soundtrack. It feels quite tightly wound. There's a kind of tension to it. It feels like a piece of elastic, sort of like pulling out. Do you have any notes on this particular song, like how you achieve this sound?
Yeah, that sense of tension is a really good way to put it. I'm really glad that comes through. I mean, when I was making the tracks, there was a bit of it was a bit mushy where things were going to go in the game. I was writing a thing that might fit in this place or that place, and then it would kind of get distilled. That one always felt to me and to Kaizen like that's where it would go. So it was really important to try and distill the summation of the game into that one thing. So for Suiho Sarita, I mean, there were so many instruments that I used on that, and it's quite a while ago now, so I don't really remember exactly all of them. I mentioned, 90 sample packs. There's one called Distorted Reality, which is this incredible collection of sounds that was used all over the Silent Hill soundtracks. That's actually, I'm pretty sure it's on the Silent Hill F soundtrack as well. I had used that for some of the kind of the more slightly industrial clanging sounds in the background. I find that really interesting when you don't quite know what a sound is. It sounds kind of musical, but you're not sure what the source is. I think there's something kind of psychologically rattling about that. So when it's paired with something that's kind of fairly melodic and recognizable to your brain, it kind of just unsettles things a bit and sort of helps ramp up the tension. In terms of other instruments, I've got on that one, I think I used a Taisho Goto synthesizer. A Taisho Goto is also known as a Nagoya harp. It's an instrument which has kind of typewriter keys and strings that you strum or pluck. My version is a synthesizer, so it's also got sampled sounds of a Taisho Goto, but it's also got weird kind of otherworldly sounds on it, which I used some of those. I think I used an instrument called the Suiko VS1, which is it was an instrument designed in Ikebukuro in the 80s, originally designed to soundtrack poetry readings and also to sort of teach koto scales and stuff like that. So a really unique instrument. And again, it's got koto sounds on it, but it's got strange sounds too. The company's called Suiko. I think a Suiko is a kind of mythological creature from memory, a bit like a kappa. So I think some of the sounds on it are designed to sound, like a strange water-dwelling creature. So there's lots of that stuff bubbling around underneath, not quite at the surface, kind of underpinning everything, which is designed to be a little bit unsettling, but not too rattling. It still has to sound musical, and hopefully it did. It's one of my favorite tracks on, and that's paired obviously with kind of actual not the strange sort of clamorous clangs and stuff are paired with actual instruments, like the Taisho Goto, the normal strings and stuff, and I think I've got some like Rhodes keyboard on there buried in the mix and stuff too. So a weird mishmash of stuff, basically, smashing stuff together to find how it works. But that kind of goal of being melodic, but at the same time a little bit unsettling, it's a fun one to do.
Yeah, it has to, as it's the first thing that people hear, it has to make an impact, and it does. Because of with exactly what you said, it's kind of weird and unsettling, but with a very strong melody, but really unusual. Like you say, you can't tell where a lot of these sounds are coming from. So with the next song, I think, like with any of these songs, I have a few notes here. I'll just throw them out at you, and you can tell me what is nonsense and what, if anything, is accurate. So the second song that I wanted to talk about, that we've touched on a little bit already, is Kasamachi Nights. So if the first song on the soundtrack feels quite tightly wound, like quite tense, this one feels like the opposite. It feels like you're kind of like stretching out in this song compositionally. Now I like Kasamachi Nights because, I like the time signature because I can't tell what the time signature is.
Yeah, good question. I can't really remember myself.
Sure.
It probably jumps around a bit, I think, from memory.
It feels really like improvisational. There's a fusion of traditional sounds. There's this sort of a really gleaming, reverby 80s guitar. There's like jazz. There's loads of hooks throughout like the 4 minutes, but you can't sort of like boil the song down to just one. Like you can't simplify it to just one hook, which I think is remarkable. That there's all these like different melodies coming from like various places, just like floating in and out. I think it's great, and you've touched on it already as being like quite a special song. Is there anything else you wanted to add about Kasamachi Nights?
Oh, I'm really glad to hear that. I mean, all the things you're saying are exactly what I had hoped for it. You know, I wanted it to feel like the town of Casamachi at night, somewhere that's, you know, simultaneously steeped in realism, but it's not quite real. You know, it's bizarre. You know, it's possibly cursed. There are sentient mascots. It had to feel dreamy and woozy, but also kind of funky. You know, that's really the goal there. It was. The whole soundtrack, to a large degree, was very heavily inspired by kind of Showa era jazz fusion. That one, very, very much so. Particularly, it was inspired by a lot of the tracks. You know, if you pick up city pop is talked about a lot as a genre, but if you pick up a Showa pop era record, a lot of it is not going to be what people would consider city pop. You might have like 2 or 3 city pop pumpers, absolute bangers, like Plastic Love and stuff on it, but usually a lot of the album will be made up of stuff that draws from all kind of different places, that'll skew more jazzy or kind of even country at some points, or romantic, you know. I wanted this to sound like one of the tracks off a city pop or a jazz fusion album that wasn't the big track, but I wanted this to be a big track for me. So it was kind of it was slightly all over the place in terms of the influences. But yeah, it's I use a lot of kind of the instruments that would be used on that type of album, sort of 70s, 80s instrumentation for a lot of it, with some again slightly harder to identify sounds sort of underpinning the whole thing. I just wanted it to sound like nighttime. I wanted it to sound the way this town would. I wanted it to be the definitive sound of this strange town at night, whether you're kind of, you know, in Barty Thai, or if you're roaming the streets in a K truck. You know, it's I wanted to have those woozy nighttime dreamy vibes that is uplifting but also, you know, melancholic and maybe slightly, it's not a scary song, but, you know, I think some bits of it or some elements of it again are slightly unsettling. I love that when there's a lot of emotions thrown in the melting pot, but I especially love it when there's a lot of emotions but the overriding one is funky vibes. So that's always good fun for me.
Unsettling, like nocturnal, dreamy vibe. I think you nailed it. I think this is a fantastic piece of music, and because there's so much music in it, you can listen to it hundreds of times.
That's good. I'm glad.
Hear something different every time. Yeah. That's one of the remarkable things about it. I love listening back to this one and hearing different things every time. It's so dense, but so accessible. It's a real testament to the quality of the soundtrack, I think.
That warms my heart beyond belief.
We'll come on to the last one, which is kind of a different one, but again, what I'm trying to do here is articulate the breadth of the styles on the soundtrack. This one is Tanuki Beat. This demonstrates a fusion of your various influences with a much more like deliberately linear, sort of a video gamey style. There's a bit like chiptune influence in this one. I love it. It's made me feel like a superhero while I'm doing dishes. I have been caught swaggering around the house to this one in quite an embarrassing way. It's great. What did you use to create Tanuki Beat?
Oh, thanks so much. Again, that's really great to hear, because that's exactly what, you know, we were going for. When the idea was pitched for the track, this was going to be the track that went alongside the Crane game in Promise Mascot Agency. For anyone who hasn't played it, you know, it's like a claw game, where a giant oversized claw game where you're trying to scoop up prizes. So I, as you said, I wanted it to have that kind of slightly chiptune sound. You know, I wanted it to sound like something that could conceivably be played by one of these machines. So I wanted it to sound kind of arcadey and not quite 16-bit, but definitely with a little bit of that kind of Mega Drive crunch going on. But also I wanted it to still be kind of funky and uplifting, both in terms of functioning as a kind of piece of music for the Crane game itself, but also, you know, in the wider sense of things, making it work in the grand scheme of the game. So yeah, that was very much the approach. In terms of the instrumentation, honestly, I have no idea what I used for it. I've got a huge load of great bits of software, basically, you know. And I think maybe I had used one on that called the RIM 2612, which is designed to emulate the sound chip that was in the Sega Genesis and Mega Drive. I'm pretty sure I used that for at least part of it to kind of get that kind of digital crunch going on, to sort of make it feel not like, you know, it was lifted straight from a Sega Mega Drive, but just to have that sort of element of it. I'm almost certain I had used the slap bass sound from the synthesizer I mentioned earlier, the Roland JV1080, which I think is a fantastic instrument because it sounds somehow simultaneously digital yet acoustic. It's kind of weirdly paradoxical because of the nature of the samples on it and stuff. So I think I used that on it too. It was one of the reasons I probably can't remember too well all the stuff I used is that I wrote that one quite quickly. It was like Kazamachi Nights. It was one that just seemed to kind of just work. Everything just sort of flowed. You know, I don't think I did it in a day, but I think I did it over the course of a few days, and it just kind of really, it came together quick. And that's not always a good sign, but in this case, I think it was a good sign. It's one that, you know, I find uplifting, you know, not to be too egotistical, but I listen to it quite a bit myself if I'm doing the dishes too, you know. I was playing the vinyl record of it a while back, and my toddler son came in and had a little dance to it, which warmed my heart beyond belief. So hey, it was good enough to get, you know, a 2-year-old grooving. Hopefully it's good enough. So, I
think that's the best test.
Frankly, I think so. That's the litmus test for everything.
I could talk about the soundtrack for the rest of the day, and so I feel like we should start to wrap this section up, and we will talk about the game. So simply put, what do you like about Promise Mascot Agency?
Oh, I mean, so much. I mentioned earlier that when I was asked on board, I said yes very, very quickly. You know, obviously, because even on paper, without seeing anything, I already knew this was a game for me. I love everything about it. I love small town strangeness. I love these kind of stories of kind of clubbing together to beat the odds. You know, I mean, it's a trope, but it's the power of friendship trope is a trope, but it's a trope because it works and because it's goddamn great. You know, it's so good. I just love everything about it. It's so hard for me to distill one particular thing, but there's just so much. The writing is of exceptional quality. The art is gorgeous. Everybody who has been involved with the game at every single stage of it, I am just in awe of. I think everyone at Kaizen has played a blinder here. You know, it's and all the various people, you know, who like me who have been drafted in to do various things. It's great. I should also shout Ryo Koike, who wrote a bunch of incredible tracks for the game, and Nas, who collaborated on the vocal track Promises Lost, Promises Found with me. I listened to all those tracks countless non-stop as well. It's just great. It's so many wonderful, like the mascots, it's themselves. It clubs together to become even greater than the sum of its parts, and I think that's a great thing. And also we talked a lot about the Yakuza series, and of course Takaya Kuroda, the voice of Kiryu from the Yakuza series, voices Michi in this game. That's huge for me. Yeah. You know, I didn't find out about that till relatively late in the process. I mean, I don't think it was confirmed until not late in the process, but you know, it wasn't at the start of it anyway. So Ollie had called from Kaizen, had called me up and said, "Look, can we hop on for a quick chat?" He played me a voice clip of Kuroda-san saying "Promise Mascot Agency," and it broke me. I remember kind of just, I felt like I'd malfunctioned. I remember saying like, "What does this mean?" Which doesn't even really make sense. And then Ollie told me that he was going to be voicing Michi and stuff.
Wow.
And it was great. That counts for so much for me. After I got out of that meeting, I was very emotional. I'm quite emotional now thinking about it. Yeah, everything about the game is great for me. It's even if I had no involvement in this game, for me it would be a 10 out of 10, 100% across the board. It is my favorite game. I love it.
Yeah. It's great. What you mentioned there about like certain tropes that they use in the game sort of rang true. I had notes on that. Something specifically Michi and Pinky's dynamic. it's a well-worn trope having like straight man and the chaotic one, but you've never seen it like this before. You have this cursed killer with a moral code and noble goals, and this psychotic severed finger who is also a teenage girl. Like, it's impossible to not like be invested in this because it's just so unusual, and they are so offbeat, and like you say, so well written. They are so they really do pop off the screen. They got such life to them. I really like the movement in the truck. I think is hilarious, and it's the right side of janky. It's weird. It's like weird and chaotic, but it's player friendly. If it was bad in any way, I think that would derail the game. Sort of flying around in it, rolling down hills. It's all just so enjoyable, and sort of the basics of what you're doing, like collecting things. It's like light touch. But everything you find serves a purpose. You have all of these items that have these quite poetic descriptions of them. And when you read this sort of like quite beautiful and evocative description of like a bottle of water, you can see the obvious time and effort and spirit that has gone into the game, and you know you're in safe hands. You know you're in a world that people care about. The people who made it really care about it. And the story that you touched on there was the thing about this game that really got me. I was so invested in Mitchie and Pinky's story that it carried me through this genre of games that I don't normally sort of gravitate towards. I've talked about this on the show like a few times. I sort of gravitate towards like action and like jumping and hitting and like so simple things like that. So I was really sort of dubious about going into a game that is sort of billed as a management sim. But yeah, the soul of this game and what it embodies and the motivation that it gives you to change and improve yourself and better those around you, I thought was so like warm-hearted. And the way that it sort of held that back a little while as well. When you first start the game, you're presented with this just like deranged environment. You don't know what to make of the fact that there are severed fingers and sentient mascots wandering around. And then as it gradually blossoms into this really sort of heartwarming story about how these people change and they change the world around them, that really hit for me. So it's nice to hear that it hit for you as well.
It definitely did, and for me, motivational is 100% the word. And I mentioned that it changed my life, and I mean that in the most sincere of ways. I'd said earlier about how I'd been composing full time from the start of the year. That was and is a scary move, and I needed a push to make me do that. And the push came in the form of playing the finale of Promise Mascot Agency for the first time. I'm not going to do any spoilers, but you know it ramps up, and I even get briefly name checked at one point in the game, which is so lovely. That climax makes me feel like I could punch a hole in the world. I feel like I could rip the fabric of time and space apart when I play that game. And after I played that scene, that was the next day I quit my other job and thought, nah, I'm all in. It gave me a push, and I love it.
What a wonderful start to your year.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Well, to close this section out, this episode is broadly framed around Promise Mascot Agency being my favourite game of the year. So to throw to you, what have you been playing this year, if you've had any time to do that, and have there been any standouts for you?
Oh, I've been playing loads. I mean, one of my favourite games I've played this year, didn't come out this year, although it did land on consoles this year, is one that I know you are a fan of as well, which is Videoverse by Kinmoku, by Lucy Blundell. It's so great. I love that game. For anybody who hasn't played it, it's kind of, I guess, like a snapshot in time of a era of a changing internet. Full of kind of wonderful message board angst and stuff. That makes it sound kind of trite, but it's not. It's very, very emotionally hard hitting, and there's so much to relate to in it. And you know, as the internet kind of feels like it's constantly changing around us, even to this day, when we're kind of being bombarded by AI slop and stuff, we're in an ever changing digital world. And that game for me is just like a little microcosm of a particularly magical and strange time of being online. It's just great. I loved and love it to bits. again, I'm thinking about games I'm going to play over Christmas. I think I'm probably going to play through it again because I adore it. It's a wonderful game. In terms of games that came out this year, I've been playing loads. I never stopped playing games. I just wrapped up the story mode on Unbeatable, which is so good. Again, for anybody not familiar with it, it is ostensibly a rhythm game, and there's an arcade mode where it's just a rhythm game, but the story mode is incredible. It's set in this kind of strange world where music is illegal, and performing music is a very punishable crime and stuff. So you play banger tunes and you do crimes, and it rules. I wrapped up the story mode for that last night, 2 nights ago. It's great. It's very, very emotionally heavy hitting, especially at the end. It's a brilliant game. Oh god, what else have I played? Played Demon School, which was great too. Another one which I've been looking forward to hugely. Kind of tactical JRPG. Some people call it like a puzzle JRPG because you conceive your moves first and then you watch it play out in front of you on this kind of almost chessboard. It's great. I loved it to bits. I played Silent Hill F, which again I adored. My main motivators for playing Silent Hill F were the Akira Yamaoka score and the fact that it was written by Ryukishi07, who also wrote the Higurashi visual novel series, which I touched on earlier, and Umineko, one of my favourite writers. And also we brought on board some of the composers from that series too, like Dai. A lot of people involved that I just love. So I loved Silent Hill F. I found it hard to play because I love horror media in general. I can watch horror movies any time of the day. With games, when I'm in control, I'm a bit more of a scaredy cat. So I'm busy during the day. I'm too scared to play it at night. So I don't want to play it too late at night. I'll wake up my toddler with the sound of me shrieking. I also tried. I was going to a industry convention in Dublin. I tried playing it on the bus on the train on the Steam Deck. Screamed on the train when I got a jump scare. So it took me absolutely ages to finish it. I'm still to do all the different endings. But I loved it. I loved Silent Hill after bits. I don't really stop playing games. And again, it's great playing games because I can justify it in my mind that it's homework, know, even though I just want to see and experience cool people making cool things. And that's in rude health. There is no short supply of amazing creators out there making incredible games, and feed them to me. I can't get enough of them.
That is beautifully put. Unbeatable came out about 10 minutes ago, and you've beaten already. That's amazing.
I've been staying up late.
But I played the demo for that. It's great. Music's great. Really enjoyed that. That's cool. Thank you for that.
It's really good. I'm looking forward to, hopefully, I think they're going to make like a chart editor so you can make your own custom tracks and stuff. So as soon as that comes out, I'm going to make some of my own tracks playable for myself anyway, So that's going to be fun. I can't wait.
Well, look forward to that. So I think now we will take one last break to listen to some music, and when we come back, we are going to talk all things holiday season and put together an Alpha Chrome Yayo Christmas party. We are back from the break, and I am here one last time with Alpha Chrome Yayo, and now we are going to put together something of a demented Christmas party. So we are very much in the midst of the holiday season now, so I'd like to use this last part of our conversation today to get into a bit of a Christmas groove. First, what are your feelings on the holiday season? You said you're a big Christmas guy earlier. How hard do you celebrate?
I am very much a big Christmas guy. I just love Christmas, and I've been looking forward to it this year for a number of reasons. I've been looking forward to it because it's been a good year. I've been looking forward to celebrating that. It's been a good year for me personally. Also, my son is kind of just at the right age to kind of understand a bit what's going on and actually enjoy Christmas. He said Happy Christmas to me the other day, and I burst into floods of tears, which was incredible.
Oh, lovely.
It was very sweet. So it's a great time of year for me. It's also a strange time of year and can be tough. It's tough on everyone to some degree, even if you are like me, a big Christmas person. There are things to do and emotions to be felt, and that can weigh heavy. So, for anyone watching, I just hope that you can find some joy in it, and if you're struggling, that you have people you can lean on, and if you're not struggling and you see people struggling, that you can reach out and give them a bit of a helping hand. But for me now, this week, I'm kind of wrapping up work for the year. I'm putting the finishing touches to some tracks I'm doing for some very cool games, and I'm just going to live it up. I'm going to have fun with my family. I'm going to watch Christmas movies. I'm going to keep listening to Christmas records, which I've been blasting non-stop since November anyway. I'm going to remember to water the tree. I'm not going to get any more electric shocks. I'm going to get through it the best I possibly can.
We are going to be talking about some of that Christmas music shortly, I think. So to tie it to gaming, do you have any specific memories of Christmas that are tied up with gaming?
Yeah, well, I guess one we already touched on was receiving getting the Mega Drive for a Christmas present one year, which that changed my life basically. I also remember. I'm a big fan of the DDR games, the Dance Dance Revolution or Dancing Stage Megamix or Euromix, as they're sometimes called over here. I got one Christmas like a kind of one of the home dance mats that you could play at home on the PS2. It probably was. I remember catching my dad having a good old go at it on his lonesome, which was really good fun. A dude that beyond playing Super Hang On with me when I was very small, probably doesn't have an awful lot of gaming experience. So that was good fun. Talking of the PS2, I also remember one magical festive season when me and my friend both got the extraordinarily violent Rockstar game Manhunt on the PS2, and my friend phoning me full of Christmas joy and probably Christmas pints, like asking me, saying Happy Christmas, and have you got the red level baseball bat kill yet? It's so good. I was like, man, it's Christmas Day, what are you doing? So yeah, gaming and Christmas tends to go, if not hand in hand, they're very complementary. It's a lovely time of year to take a game and really just dive into it. I like to do that every year as well. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to be playing over Christmas this year, but I'm going to enjoy it. It's also a good time of year for some multiplayer. I'm going around to a friend's house for a Christmas party next weekend. There's a pretty good chance we'll play a bit of Mario Kart, and there's an even better chance that it'll devolve into angry chaos. But hey, that's part of the fun too. What's Christmas without a bit of angry chaos?
What's Christmas without a fight with friends or family?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a tried and tested tradition.
Are there any games that you sort of associate with Christmas? Are there any particular games that you revisit at this time of year?
Oh, that's a really good question. There is one, actually, which I play every year, which is called Death Smiles 2. It is a bullet hell shooter by Cave, and it's one of the few overtly Christmas-themed games that I think are out there. I know there are probably a bunch, but this one, in this one, you play as one of a team of young witches, and you're in a bullet hell world, a Christmassy bullet hell world, battling. I can't remember if they went as on the nose as to call the baddie Satan Claus, but I think maybe they did. You shoot bullets at a giant, terrifying reindeer. One of the enemies is a massive kaiju-sized monster called Nice Older Man, which is so incredibly bizarre. I just love it to bits. And it's short too, if you don't have a lot of time over Christmas, as many of us don't, you can rattle through the whole thing in about 20 minutes. Which does make it hard to justify the massive price tag for it. I think it's like 40 quid on Steam.
Wow.
But, it's great. It does rule. I actually have it on the Nintendo Switch, which actually, the Nintendo Switch is something I only really tend to get out around this time of year. I think it's because,
Really?
It lends itself to the multiplayer experiences and a bit of living room sofa action, as opposed to being on my computer or playing on the Steam Deck in bed at 2 a.m. It's a nice time to have some communal gaming experiences, which I think we'll be leaning into this year as well.
So you have been posting about the music that you listen to in the run-up to Christmas, and it's all been really great, interesting stuff that listeners in the West might not be familiar with. I was wondering if you could take us through a few of your recommendations for the music that you listen to at this time of year, so that we can build a bit of an alternative Christmas greatest hits.
100%. It's my favorite thing to do. I mean, I should say I love Christmas music in general. I'm not a Whamageddon guy. I want to hear Wham early and often, so I am into normie Christmas too. Last night I was listening to to the Home Alone soundtrack on vinyl, which is great. It's a banger. But in terms of more offbeat stuff, yes, I adore it, and there is loads of it. I'm not sure if it's my favorite Christmas song, but it's definitely up there. It's a really unusual one. It's called Merry Christmas, Santa Claus, You're a Lovely Guy, and it is by Max Headroom.
There's an old man on a sleigh who's like me, just for one day, bestrides the world like a human...
And if anyone's not familiar with Max Headroom, he was a kind of virtual character in the 80s, ostensibly a robot dude, played by a real man. I can't remember the actor's name, but CGI was involved and a lot of rubber and latex to make him look like this kind of strange robotic host. You'd see him on TV. He released books. He was kind of everywhere for a hot minute. I was too young to actually enjoy him then. But, you know, growing up in the 90s, you know, there were lots of videotapes of stuff that had been taped that I was still watching, you know, so stuff lingered on a bit longer then, I think. So Max Headroom was kind of still part of my childhood to some degree. Anyway, he has this incredibly bizarre Christmas track dedicated to celebrating Santa Claus. It's with a choir, the Southwark, I don't know, Christmas choir, or cathedral choir, sorry, backing him up, which lends a whole really kind of, it's strange because it lends a kind of credence to this weird robot song where this dude is at one point singing about colostomy bags. You know, it's really very strange, but somehow still very Christmassy and really uplifting. I've just realized I've got it on 45 on a record on 7-inch. I don't think I've ever listened to the B side of it because I just hit repeat over and over again on it. So tonight maybe I check out the B side and see what's going on there. So yeah, Max Headroom, Merry Christmas, Santa Claus, You're Such a Lovely Guy. A more heartfelt one that I always love is by a dude who I mentioned earlier, a big influence on me and many, Tatsuro Yamashita, big jazz fusion guy, married to city pop royalty Maria Takeuchi. He was responsible for the arrangements on lots of her tracks like Plastic Love and stuff as well, and conversely you could hear her on lots of his work too. He has a few Christmas singles, but the best one is called Christmas Eve. Really good. It dials back the jazziness a bit and ramps up the nostalgia a lot, which is often the way for a lot of the jazz fusion and city pop artists releasing Christmas singles. It's really good. It's called Christmas Eve. I listen to it every Christmas Eve once the family's in bed and I'm wrapping presents, probably all the presents because I'm not that well prepared. It's really magical. It's really special to me. It's a wonderful track. I listen to it countless times, like constantly during the year. I mentioned this on vinyl. I also bought it on one of these little gorgeous little mini CDs that are quite big in Japan. I've got a couple of other Christmas ones too, which I haven't listened to yet. So we've got, can we see this there? The Southern All Stars. You can't see it because it's behind a label, but this is a UFO alien themed Christmas song, which I'm yet to check out. I don't even know what this one is, but it's got, you know, cute characters and a snowman. So there's some new ones that I haven't checked out yet that I will. Some other great ones are let me think. I mentioned Maria Takeuchi. She has her own Christmas track called Special Delivery, and it's quite good, but the B side to that one is called Crying All Night Long. And that's a big thing I've found with lots of Showa pop Christmas stuff. Is there'll be a cheery Christmas song on the B-side, something heartbreaking, like absolutely gut-wrenching, and weirdly, that kind of almost feels better, you know? It's great to listen to. It's got that kind of slight melancholy and nostalgia, which suits Christmas listening very well, I think. There are tons more. There's a great, obviously I love The Muppets Christmas Carol because I'm not an idiot. There's also a Muppets and John Denver Christmas album that I listen to an awful lot. It's very beautiful. I listen to Vince Guaraldi's Peanuts Christmas stuff a lot too for some cool jazzy chill. There's one that I have which I have not listened to because the artwork is so ugly I can't bring myself to stick it on. It's a 45 that I think I got gifted, I think it's called something awful like Santa is on the dole, and it's Santa looking upset with a gun. Not that I'm against Santa being a little bit angry, because another favourite track of mine is called The Night Santa Went Crazy by Weird Al Yankovic. It's not one to listen to the family because it's a very murder-themed Christmas song about Santa going nuts, and at one point he barbecues all the reindeer. And I'm sanitizing that a bit. It's for a Weird Al family-friendly guy. It is a exceptionally violent song. It's great. I like to listen to that more when I'm putting up the decorations. There are loads more. I mean, great Christmas music is everywhere. There is obviously Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence by Ryuichi Sakamoto, which is just a gorgeous, gorgeous song. I've been listening to it recently on in MIDI form. I got this weird MIDI stereo that plays only MIDI files. I've got a load of Christmas music on it, including Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. And, you know, it's a testament to how good that song is that it still sounds great in kind of awful 90s MIDI form. Yeah, you know, and if people want more Christmas recommendations, just ask me. You know, I will happily answer any email about Christmas music, or, you know, a DM or a message online or whatever. I recently also recorded, there's a new radio station here in Belfast. I worked in radio for a long time and still kind of, I love the format. So this new station asked if I would put together a Christmas show for them, which I did recently. It'll be available to listen again somewhere, so I'll stick that on my socials if people want a heap more Christmas tracks to listen to. There are so many. Sinead O'Connor's version of Silent Night is gorgeous if you want a Christmas carol, because hey, you got to have at least one carol in there somewhere. Just endless Christmas songs. Listen to it all, even the ones that you think are bad. You're probably going to enjoy it. You know, enough Wham and Paul McCartney slander. You know, just crank them up.
Yeah, that's an incredible list. Thank you for sharing that. So let's try and go through those. Max Headroom. So Channel 4 has a lot to answer for. It's clearly warped the minds.
It's twisted me into the
whole generation.
Weird being that I am. Yeah.
The song Christmas Eve, and a couple of the other recommendations that you made there, I've been following, and I've been listening to those over the last week. They are fantastic. I noticed just this morning, Hideo Kojima posted just a picture of the artwork for Christmas Eve on his Instagram.
If it's good enough for Kojima, it's good enough for anyone.
Exactly, you're in good company there. And as you were kind enough to share a few recommendations with me prior to this interview, I've been listening to Tatsuro Yamashita and Masayoshi Tanaka to try and skill myself up a little bit in this area, and it's all like great stuff. And the Maria Takaguchi song that you mentioned there, yes, co-signing that. The B-side to that is fantastic.
It's so good. It's really good. She's a great artist in every possible capacity. But I mentioned earlier how a lot of kind of these kind of seminal city pop artists, a lot of their tracks aren't what you would consider city pop, and her best known album is called Variety, and it very much is a variety. I'm saying it's her best known album. I'm wondering now if it literally is a best of. It might be, because it draws from so many different avenues. You've got the kind of the nostalgia and the kind of the twinkly Christmas leading stuff. There's a country song on it. It's really worth not just discovering these artists, I think, but going in deep into the albums and hearing what some might call filler tracks. I don't think there's any filler on many of them, because they spread their wings so wide and soak in so many influences. I think that's a really good way, not just to approach music, but just to live life, soak it all up.
I feel like we should also mention that you have your own Christmas album as well.
I do. Alpha Chrome Yayo's Big Cozy Christmas. Full disclosure, I recorded that in one afternoon, more or less, relatively filled with mulled wine. So hopefully that enhanced it. One of my another favorite Christmas album of mine is Christmas in the Heart by Bob Dylan. I like that album because it feels like it's a Christmas party, and he's quite croaky on that. That album is colloquially known in my house as Bob Dylan's Croaky Christmas, because he has a very raspy voice, which gets raspier and raspier throughout, and it sounds like it's recorded near enough in one take, and it's like a Christmas party that's kind of gradually getting more and more unhinged and spiraling out of control. And I wanted my own Christmas album to kind of sound a bit like that. So, you know, 4 cups of mulled wine hopefully did the trick. I don't know.
It captures the spirit of Christmas quite nicely. I've been playing that in the mornings with when getting my kids ready for school. They have been enjoying it. It's been a good time.
That's great.
And that's Dylan album. That's latter day Dylan, isn't it? So that is
it is.
That is croaky horse honking Dylan. So
yes,
it's very brave of you to listen to that.
Hopefully somebody got him a packet of Strepsils that year for Christmas.
So now we have the music for your Christmas party, but I feel like we should invite some guests. And so to bring it back to Promise Mascot Agency, when discussing the game, it's sort of customary and fun to ask who people's favourite mascots are. And I find it impossible to choose just one. So as this is very much the silly season, I think it would be nice to do this a bit differently. So in this scenario, you are hosting Christmas dinner and you have to invite 3 of the mascots from the game. Who are you inviting and why?
It's a tough one. It's a very tough one. You know, I feel bad breaking them up. I'd want them all there, but I'm gonna pick. Karushi is definitely going to be on the list because every party needs a goth at it. You know, you need somebody to drag out of their bedroom and sit at the table for a bit. And also, if you played the game, Karushi, you will know, warns against the dangers and the signs of experiencing burnout, which is probably something sensible to keep in mind at Christmas. Plus, hey, you know, they'll be good at the party. Why not? So let's have Karushi there. Who else? Let me see. I'm gonna have to say Tofu. Why not? He's earned it. You know, he's learned to love himself, and we all love him. So absolutely, Tofu's gonna be there. I think Pinky's a given because Pinky's gonna be there whether you invite her or not. I think so. I don't even need to mention her because I just assume she'll be there. For the final one, let's go with Ichigo Love, the sonorous, rich-voiced Strawberry Bear, for a number of reasons. First of all, he's got an incredible voice, and hopefully he would sing a couple of Christmas songs at the piano, which would be quite something. I also think he'd be great fun with a few strawberry beers in him, and he's just lovable. I might want a nice Christmas cuddle at the end of the night, and who better to give a lovely, cheery, festive hug to than Ichigo Love.
That's a great list. I had a Karushi on my list as well.
Yes! I love that!
But kind of for different reasons. I thought Christmas parties can be awkward, and I thought he's quite a cursed character, and I found him quite unpleasant to look at in the game. I thought, if there's going to be a fall guy for the Christmas party who's like the awkward one, that everyone else can sort of to settle everyone else, thought that could be him. But I like your reasoning for inviting him more.
Well, yours is very valid too.
He does warn against burnout, which is that's very important.
That's the true message of Christmas. That's the meaning of Christmas.
Yeah.
Don't wreck yourself.
I had sort of I'd built my list with it in mind that maybe like the optimal trio might be Pinky, Kofun, and Tofu. But then thinking about Pinky, it could go either way with her. She could possibly burn the house down. So I tried to build a list like without those 3. So I went with, and I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce this one's name, Montague or Manouge. This is the green duck.
Montague, I think. I could be wrong too.
Let's go with that. One of those might be right. This is the green duck that wants to restore the arcade, and is voiced by Shuhei Yoshida.
Absolutely,
head of indies at PlayStation. If I get to have the voice actors as well, I feel that'd be quite interesting.
100%, yeah.
But, boring reasons. He's a gamer. He could probably bring some games or at least some gaming chat. That'd be nice. I also quite liked Kanushi-kun. He's the crow that is seeking to sort of renovate the graveyard. Now I like him because he's got quite a dry sense of humour. He could you'd expect him to be sort of a bit sarcastic and distant, but does have a good sense of humor. I quite liked talking to him in the game. And if you can have Karushi, you have better reasons for having him. I'll take O for the because I imagine she would have some great stories.
She was going to be on my list for that exact reason. Yeah, 100%. The festive tales would be something else.
Ichigo Love, I considered, but I was a bit concerned about how clean, about his general level of personal hygiene. So
a nice grubby Christmas.
I opted to leave him. He can go to yours. So
he can go to my horrible house.
So we have built quite a wonderful little Christmas party there to celebrate Promise Mascot Agency and your soundtrack for it. So I feel to close out, we should look ahead. You announced online recently that you have been awarded funding from the National Lottery via the Arts Council of Northern Ireland for your next album. So first, congratulations. That is awesome. The idea of a government or agency awarding the arts or financially incentivizing the arts is quite mind-blowing. So that's great. Are you able to share anything about what you're working on next, be it about that album or any soundtracks you're working on?
I can't share too much stuff because, well, first of all, in terms of the album, I need to work out exactly what I'm going to do with it. I've got a few rough ideas. It's great to get that funding behind it. I've always been, in terms of my own self-release stuff, vehemently DIY. And I am still going to be vehemently DIY. But it's nice to have a bit of cash behind it because it means something I really want to do is work with some incredible collaborators across the world and bring in some wonderful people, some exceptional talent from Japan and from elsewhere, which I think is going to be really good. It means I can pay them for their time and for their studio time as well. It means I can, again, like I like doing, is bring on some incredible artists to work with the artwork. Again, I need to drill down into that and work out what I'm doing. It also means I can do a lovely vinyl release. Records are really important to me, so it's great that I'll be able to get that going on too. I need to work out exactly what I'm doing with it.
Cool.
I've got stuff going on up here, but I need to get it out into the world. So that's going to appear next year at some point, probably sort of the towards the latter half of the end of next year. So that's going to be really cool, and it's an honour to get the funding from the Arts Council and from the National Lottery. They'll be really happy that you gave them their full title as well, which is very good of you. So that's really cool. I'm working on a heap of games at the minute. Most of them I can't really talk about because they're I'm up to my eyes in the NDA stuff. Sure. There's a few I can talk about. I'm doing one. Most of the time, when I'm working on games, it's with people not near me, either whether that's kind of, I'm in Belfast and, a lot of the time they're in England or Scotland or, America or completely the other side of the world. I am working on one game which is being made right here in Belfast called Travel Pack, which is a lovely kind of... It's a very sort of tactile board game inspired thing with sort of puzzle pieces and stuff. It's really nice. The artwork is gorgeous. It's all very tactile looking, slightly inspired by kind of Russian dolls almost. It's really beautiful, lovely game. One of those things that's going to be kind of simple to pick up but hard to master, and it's lovely. So I'm cooking up a lot of music for that. A lot of it's very character driven, which is great because I can it just gives me a lot of room to spread my wings, but it's all quite cute, and the whole thing is really beautiful. It's a cozy game experience. On the flip side of that, I can't really talk too much about this one, but I am working on something that skews a lot more horror. So it's very creepy. The complete flip side of the coin. It draws a lot of influence from, in terms of the sound, this is from Silent Hill and stuff like that. Also from Twin Peaks too, actually. To some degree, again, just maybe this is me speaking, but Deadly Premonition, which I'm a big fan of too. In terms of the audio, just that slightly kind of wonky, those twangy guitars combined with kind of industrial clangs and stuff. It's great fun to work on. So I'm cooking up a lot of that at the minute. A nice mixture of cute stuff and terrifying stuff, which is great. I love doing that because it means, if my brain gets too saturated with one type of thing, I can work on the other for a bit. I think that's a great way to be able to work on things, is when you have a good few projects going on at the minute. Another thing I'm working on kind of skews more kind of vaporwave with overt kind of city pop influences and stuff as well. So all things that I love doing. But then again, I love making any kind of music. You know, a lot of the time, if I'm with my own albums, I'm kind of making something just to see if I can do it, you know? So it's really nice when I'm getting approached for new work, which sees me celebrating the stuff that I love already, but also getting to jump into new challenges. So an exciting year ahead. Oh, some fantasy stuff as well is on the cards too, which will be good. A lot more kind of slightly Baldur's Gate kind of vibes being cooked up as well. So lots of different stuff going on. It's great. It's really exciting. So while I can't talk about specifics, first of all, I can't wait to be able to talk about the specifics, because these games are all gonna rule. And I'm just so happy to be involved. And you know, if anyone is working on a cool project, whether that's a game or anything else, and they need cool sounds, give me a shout, because I will probably want to do it if I have room. And you know, not having room all the time is a great problem to have. But you know, I've still got space for stuff next year if anyone wants some cool vibes from this big Christmas guy.
I'm really happy to hear that. It sounds like your decision to go full time has really paid off.
Hey, it's working so far. I mean, every day I'm still here doing this is good for me, you know, so I'm just making it last as long as I possibly can.
And everything you've mentioned there is just another testament to the the breadth of your sort of abilities as a composer. That all sounds like wildly different. I can't wait to hear all of it.
It is all very different. It's wide reaching, and I love that.
I do not have anything else that I wanted to ask you today. So finally, I would like to throw to you to plug anything that you want to plug, be that your website, Bandcamp, anything at all.
Oh, you're very good. Well, the best thing for people to do if they want to check me out is just to go on the information superhighway and search for Alpha Chrome Yayo. You very kindly mentioned Bandcamp there. I'm a big fan of it. All my music is available on Bandcamp, whether that's my own stuff, also the Promise Mascot Agency soundtrack is on there. I have stuff on my own Bandcamp that you can't get anywhere else. There's lots of exclusive stuff, including the Christmas album. So yeah, if you want to check me out on Bandcamp, that would be great. The Promise Mascot Agency soundtrack is on the Kaizen Gameworks Bandcamp. All tracks by me, all the tracks by Ryo Koike, who also did some amazing music for the game, and Noz, the singer who I worked with too. She's so good. In fact, go and check out Noz, her own stuff as well. She has this track called Moon Sings, which is one of my favourite songs ever. It's not a Christmas song, but it is so comforting and nostalgic and beautiful that I listen to it a lot at this time of year anyway. I've also got a website. It's alphachromeyayo.com. I'm on the socials. I always feel like I don't really know what I'm doing on Instagram, but I'm there. I'm on Blue Sky though, and that's my kind of social home. I was at a game dev Christmas party the other night, and a dude came up to me and said, "Oh, you're the Blue Sky music guy." I was like, yeah, why not? I'm the Blue Sky music guy, the Blue Sky music guy. So that was cool. So yeah, follow me on Blue Sky or anywhere else. I'm on YouTube too. Yeah, I'm out there, baby. And you know, if you want to get in touch, whether that's about having me work on some cool stuff, or if you just want to say hello, ping me an email or drop me a line or whatever, it's all good.
All those links will be in the show notes, and Blue Sky should be honoured to be associated so definitively with you.
The official music guy. Obviously I don't believe that. There are so many bazillions of wonderful music guys and gals all over Blue Sky, which is another reason I love it so much. It's rammed full of people doing incredible things, which is so sick. It's just great.
It hasn't burnt to the ground just yet, so
not quite.
Yes, let's try and keep it good, people. Alpha Chrome Yayo, thank you so much for joining me today. It has been a delight. Thanks for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me, and thanks loads for thanks for having me for the wonderful chat. It's been so deeply enjoyable, and thank you to anybody who has tuned in to check it out.
thanks for listening. And my thanks once more to Alpha Chrome Yayo for his time, his insights, his music, and his vibes. At this celebratory, stressful time of year, you could do worse than listen to his music. It'll energise you, it'll lift you up, much like the game it soundtracks. I kept my promise to return to Casamachi, and I'm glad I did. Promise Mascot Agency is a wonderful game, one I'll remember long beyond its release year and long after its characters have restored their town to its former glory. If you haven't yet, go play this game, and like everyone involved in it, and everyone touched by it, make some dreams come true. Links to where you can find ACY online are in the show notes. You'll also find a link to the newsletter for the episode there, which includes all the info on all the stuff discussed in the show. The artwork for Dialogue Tree was designed by Pixel Benny, and you can find the show online at dialoguetree.cc. Talk to you next time.